Sweet and cozy night, and you are here by my side. Bells are ringing and the time is right to celebrate this Christmas. We're gonna have some fun. Merry Christmas to everyone. So everybody gather round and sing with me. Yeah, it's Christmas, joyful Christmas. Hang out Christmas lights. Let's celebrate tonight. Fairy lights, they shine so bright. We share this very special night. Close your eyes, make all your dreams come true. What a joyful Christmas. We're gonna have some fun. Merry Christmas to everyone. Now everybody gather round and sing with me. Well, it's Christmas, very joyful Christmas. Hang up Christmas lights. Ooh, let's celebrate tonight. If you feel alone, don't hide.
Hey, what's up, Lowndes County? Welcome to our weekly celebration of the Lowndes community. Whether you're a Viking, a Wildcat, Valiant, General, Trojan, or Rebel, this season's for all of us as we celebrate the birth of Jesus. So you can tell by the mellow music and the snowflakes falling on the screen, it's a different time of year as we start to wind things down. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I am your host, Larry Godwin. Joining me tonight is superfan Armand Rashad. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to have an appearance by another superfan, Chase Garnto. So before we get going, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors before we get this party cranked up. And we are going to have a good time tonight. I promise we will. Okay, so I want to go ahead and thank Pepsi of Valdosta for producing, distributing, making the world a more merry place with products like Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, and their Mountain Dew Spark. So thank you so much to Doyer Deloach and the Pepsi of Valdosta crew. Thank you so much to White Oak Investment. Guys, the stock market was way up today, but tomorrow it might be way down. Whether it's up or down, you probably do need some sound financial advice. I can't give it to you, but I know someone that can. That's Kyle Conger, White Oak Investment. Give him a call at 229-850-8848. Thank you so much to Tim Neesmith with A Shade of Perfection. Timmy specializes in customizing shades and blinds, making your house beautiful. And who doesn't want a beautiful house during the Christmas season? So if you need that kind of product or service, give Tim Neesmith a call at A Shade of Perfection. You can reach him at 229-251-3479 or on his website, ashadeofperfection.com. We continue the season of Thanksgiving with our sponsors. And the latest one, or next on the list, I should say, is the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. These guys have been loyal sponsors for the last 2 years, and I appreciate their friendship. These guys are certified headache medicine specialists at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. That's Josh Batson and Justin Haskin. They offer a variety of migraine and back pain treatments. So thank you so much to the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. Thank you to this guy, Chandler Kudik. He's been keeping my pool sparkling clear all year round, including in the winter months. If you need a service like that or a reliable technician to come out and keep your pool sparkling, give Chandler Kudik at Aquaworks Pool Company a call. You can reach him at 229-415-0752. And thank you to these guys, Tony Green and Trey Hatcher at Imperial Auto Sales. I'm getting ready to call these guys because dummy me, I'm actually looking to buy a vehicle and a truck nonetheless. So I might be giving Tony a call pretty soon. But if you have a need or you just want a question answered, give these guys a call, Imperial Auto Sales. They've got two great locations. One is on 1410 North Ashley Street. The other is 1600 Bay Tree Road over there by the mall. So give these guys a call, Imperial Auto Sales. And then finally, Jason Castleberry at Case Tree Services. He specializes in tree cutting and removal, whether it's a big tree, small tree, or something in between. Just mention this ad and get a free stump grinding with any tree removal. You have that need for that service, give Jason a call. He's one of the best out there and very, very affordable to boot. So thank you so much to all of our sponsors out there. So Merry Christmas, everybody. We're in the Christmas mood. We're in the Christmas spirit. We're not going to do a giveaway tonight. Well, I think I told you guys that a couple of weeks ago before we took that Thanksgiving break. We're going to suspend those for the rest of the year. But I do have some good news for you. And that is there's only 261 more days until kickoff. That's all. 261 days. And before I forget, I want to wish the Valwood Valiants best of luck tonight because they are playing for a state championship. I think they're in the private league, GIAA. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, but that's a private league school. And so anyway, they're going all the way up to Mercer. Have you guys ever been to that Mercer Stadium? I don't know what's called. I think it's called 5-Star Stadium, something like that. So anyway, these guys have worked their tails off. They got a handful of former Lowndes guys on there. So I am pulling for those guys. Tate the Great Snellgrove is leading the charge there, lighting up the airways. And so anyway, we want to make sure we wish the Valiants the best of luck tonight. So they're playing a very, very tough team. I think it's John Millage Academy. A powerhouse in the private league. So anyway, best of luck to Valwood. Hope they get the job done and bring home a state title tonight. So let's go ahead and bring on Superfan Armand Rashad. Armand, wake up. It's time to go to work.
I'm up and it's time to go. Get off one job, come to the next. That's what we got to do, right?
Absolutely, man. That's what we do. We're bivocational super fans on Thursday, right?
Always. That's what it seems like, man. How you been, though? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was, man, I spent most of the week sick. The weekend before Thanksgiving week, I started to get a tickle in my throat, and then I started feeling bad, and then I was just in rough shape. And so started finally getting better around Wednesday, enough to have Thanksgiving over, my family over to my house, went over to my brother's house for the other side of the family, that kind of stuff. So we had a good time. Armand, when I was younger, I should say, I felt like it was a chore, especially because both sides of our family was in the area. So we would spend literally just about the entire day going to someone's house, right? But I felt like it was a chore and it was work, kind of got aggravated by it. But now that I'm older, I'm actually more appreciative of that time that our families get together. I don't care how far we have to drive. And so I don't know if that comes with age and maturity, people passing away, me getting more sentimental in my older age. I don't know what the case is, but I feel like I'm appreciative more of what I have when it comes to my family. How do you feel about that?
I'm right along with you. Like in the past, like most of the time I would be coming back from where I was stationed at. And so I'm at my mom's house, and everybody comes on my mom's side is there. Then I gotta go to my dad's side of the family. And then so it was always a chore. Like you said, gotta be here, gotta be there.
Yep.
Now I'm just happy to see everybody. I'm at that age when I see somebody, I'm like, oh man, look, I'm so excited to see them because you know people they be here today and gone tomorrow. And so I'm like you, I'm just appreciative to see everybody, whoever I see, no matter family or friends or even people I wasn't even close with in high school or whatnot. I see them, I'm like, oh man, it's so good to see you. Because to me, it is like I don't know when I ever see you again. So I just want to be able to say, hey, how you doing? Hope everything is well, and I'm happy to see you if nobody else was. So that's how I am. I'm like
Absolutely,
you.
man. Absolutely.
I'm like
I
you.
feel the same way when it comes to uh, Lowndes football. When I was a younger fan, my expectations were way up there, sky high, just like everybody else, and for the most part, they still are. But I felt like we just had to have a state championship every year. But now, the older I get, the more appreciative I am of what we have, because I realize how hard it is
Yeah,
to get one, let alone five. Right?
that's it's when you're going through it, like as a player, right? And like
Yeah.
the closest I got, we made it to the Final Four. We lost to Brookwood in my junior year, and so I'm thinking we'll be back here again, right?
Yeah. You take it for
Um,
granted, don't you?
you do. You think I'm like we'll be back again. The next year we go undefeated. We finally beat Valdosta, and then we lose to Northside Warner Robins in the second round, and
Yep.
it was so heartbreaking, right? But I look back and I said, okay, well, we're gonna be all right. And so just being from afar, being able to see, okay, we're doing good. We finally get the state championship, and then next thing you know, Greg Reed and those boys come through and they win 3 with Coach Delp. Coach Delp now, but and we're like, yeah, this is where we're at. But I look back at it and I realized that success isn't always defined whether or not you win a state championship or not. It's are you in a position to win? Like, because you got to have some luck. You got to be healthy to make it through that grind, that gauntlet that is this regular season and the playoffs. So the way I look at it is that I'm if we don't win the state championship, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. But did we quote unquote compete? um, and how did we show ourselves? Did we make the playoffs? Did we make a good run? So that's
Absolutely.
what I kind of define success as.
Absolutely, man. So listen, let's go ahead and talk about the only team that remains out of our Region 17A, the last year in Region 17A, and that's the Camden County Wildcats. They are playing tomorrow night in a semifinal game. So let me go ahead and ask you off the bat: Are you are you are you surprised that Camden is still in this thing?
No,
No.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not. I'm not surprised because
Explain
when I watch.
yourself.
All right, so when I watch Lounge, right, when they played Lounge,
Mhm.
I noticed something. They don't panic.
Okay.
This team has a calmness about them.
Very
They
mature team.
very mature team, and they got some size. They got size on both on the offensive and the defensive line. So
Yep.
they got size there, and they got athletes. So whenever they do need to pass, they got that receiver. I can't remember his name, but he's about 6'3". He'll go get it. And so
Listen, I think he's taller than 60. I think he's like 8'7".
yeah, he's a big boy. Matter of fact, the tight end reminds me of Darnell Washington from UGA last
Oh
year.
my gosh, yes.
But yeah, they can do what they need to do when they need to hurry up, and we witnessed that against Lions. They were able to their hurry up offense was effective, and they believe in what they do, and
Yeah,
so the defense is solid, not great but solid. The offense can control the ball when they need to, get in the hurry up and run that effectively, and so no, I'm not surprised about it.
absolutely. I have no idea what just popped up on my screen.
Me either.
like
It
a
was a,
like a thumbs
it
up.
was
It's
a
like,
thumbs up.
where the heck did that come from?
Yeah.
That was weird. We got some automated stuff going on here that I don't even know about.
Oh yeah, and one more thing, you got Coach
Yeah.
Herron over there, who knows that offense like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
And he is a veteran um, coach who has won at the highest levels, no matter where he's been at. So yeah, it's not it shouldn't be surprising.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and I'm going to come back to Camden for in a couple of minutes, because there's a couple of things that I want to bring up in relation to Camden and how it may be related to Lowndes as well. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and congratulate some of the other area teams that are still in the playoffs, playing in the semifinals as well. You know, they include not only Camden, but Thomas County Central in 6A. Justin Rogers, their head coach, he's there in his second season. Last year, it got booted in the first round, kind of surprisingly. But this year, man, he's got that team playing red hot. And, you know, they beat a very, very good Rome team last week, traveled all the way up to Rome. And with seconds remaining in the game, they booted a field goal to win that game 19-16. A very, in modern day football, a very low scoring game. But the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets got it done 19-16.
Well, you know, they say defense travels, right?
Yeah.
If you got a good defense, it travels. And no matter where you go, that defense should be there. And that just goes to show you that, you know, it's when you got a team that believes in what they do and they believe in the system, they bought in to the system. Hey, you can achieve anything.
Cole Moore is correcting me, and he is correct. I said they got booted last year in the first round. It was the third round. So thank you so much, Cole, for correcting me on that. Our resident Blue Devil / Yellow Jacket / Gator fan. So, hey, 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
It ain't. You know,
Yeah.
the Gators.
So as we continue, go ahead.
I said the Gators don't got another game till how many days till the Gators play again?
I think it's I used to upset Cole and other Gator fans on my personal Facebook page when I would do a countdown, a reverse countdown to how many days since Florida has beaten Georgia. And it had gotten up to like 1,000 and something days or something like that. And I stopped counting.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, so as we continue the congratulations, so TCC playing tomorrow night. Who are they taking? Cole, who are they playing tomorrow night? They are playing Marist. That's right. So Marist is I think Marist is a wing T team as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I can't remember. So continuing 5A, Coffee County in Mike Coe's second year up there as a Trojan head coach. He takes them to the semifinals this year. And I think Coffee is one of the favored ones to win that state title this year in 5A. So congratulations to Mike Coe. Congratulations to the Perry Panthers. They play tomorrow night as well in 4A. Now we've got 3 AA schools in the area that are going to the semifinals. Fitzgerald will be playing Pierce County over in Blackshear, and Cook is traveling up to, where is Cook traveling up to? Cook is traveling up to Rockmart to play in that semifinal game. Now, what kind of poetic justice would it be to have a rematch between Fitzgerald and Cook, that grudge match 2.0 for the state championship? How fun would that be to watch?
It's gonna be good, but you know I'm cheering for Coach Slack. You know, I'm cheering for him. But you know, Coach P, who coached receivers last year for Lowndes, is actually at Fitzgerald. So I've been kind of following both of them. But that's gonna be a good one. It's a good one. Coach Slack got them boys playing. I don't care what nobody say. He's got them playing. Fitzgerald has been solid year in, year out, but Coach Slack has turned that program around, and he got them boys playing. So
that's going to be a fun game to watch. You know, Tucker Pruitt, offensive-minded coach, against Byron Slack, a defensive-minded head coach. And so, but you know what? My mom and I have been to watch Cook County play in the playoffs the last 2 weeks. It's up there in Adel. And as defensively minded as Slack and the Cook Hornets are, Jackson Dean, a former Lowndes assistant, is the offensive coordinator up there, and
wow.
he knows how to call a game. I mean, that dude was impressive the last 2 weeks that I've seen him anyway.
Yeah.
And their quarterback, he's kind of a tall guy, but a very skinny guy. I can't remember his name. I think his last name is Folsom. He throws a beautiful fade route in the corner of the end zone. It is beautiful. I saw him do it twice in back-to-back weeks. Beautiful money both times. So anyway.
I don't know if you remember, but every now and then you'll see the quarterbacks, like that's your Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. They'll be trying to throw the ball in the trash can in the corner of the end zone. You ever see that drill? Yeah. The ones that could do that consistently, oh man, they play on Sundays. So
I know, man. That's a special talent, very, very special talent to be able to throw that route, do it consistently as well. So Cole is heckling us as Lowndes Vikings tonight. He says, beat a team in the state of Georgia, LG. Well, that's what we're working on, Cole. Kick us while we're still down. That's fine.
But then we beat Tifton in that little jamboree, right? Didn't we beat them? Or
yeah, we did, but then that doesn't count.
Yeah, it's Tifton, right? So yeah, okay. We're supposed to be.
What I meant was it was a preseason scrimmage. Not that it's just. Now, speaking of Tifton is coming back to our region next year.
Yeah.
So that's official. Everything's finalized. So one last team that's going to be in this area anyway, that's going to be in the semifinals tomorrow night is the Brooks County Trojans as well. So congratulations to our guy, Maurice Freeman, getting the job done over there, and their new athletic director, Zach Grage, as well. So congratulations to Coach Grage.
Yeah. And Coach Freeman, year in, year out, bringing the hammer, right? That's their motto, bring the hammer. Always a blue collar team, and they're in it every single year. They might not win it, but they're in it every single year. So shout out to Coach Freeman.
Yeah. Listen, man, I don't know what's going on here, but I want to highlight a comment. Jeff Fulp says, love my Hornets. Hope we don't lose slack to a bigger school. We got Greg Maddox. Now, Jeff Fulp. We got all these Hornets invading one Lowndes. What in the world is going on around here, Armand?
But I don't know.
That's okay.
I guess
that's okay.
I guess we're doing something right? We're doing something right.
We welcome everybody. We welcome everybody around here. Hey, that's why I'm congratulating the Cook High Hornets. Hey, so let's revisit Camden County. What we started talking about when about teams still in the playoffs. Jeff Herron, I was told by my friend Phil Jones that Coach Herron does not like to have his team characterized as a wing T team. They are a triple option team. And so, we've heard some rumblings around the One Lowndes community that some of the wing T concepts may be returning to the Lowndes campus. So let's talk about not necessarily the wing T or the triple option, but I thought we could have a little bit of fun talking about the different types and styles of offenses and what type of personnel that could be required. Because, in high school, you get what you get as far as the Jimmies and Joes, right?
Yeah.
And so what style of offense best suits for the Jimmies and Joes around here? So everybody know in modern day football, everybody is familiar with the spread. Now, just because I'm going to say something and you tell me if I'm on par or way off base, just because a team lines up in a spread formation does not mean they are a spread team. True or false?
True.
Now, True. What kind of team would you characterize them as?
It really depends on what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
So
depends on their scheme, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So they'll have that. Like for instance, Georgia lines up in the spread formation 90% of the time. Whether it's they last year they were in a lot of 12 personnel. This year you see them in 13. But it's more so of, hey, let's spread the field. make space so we can run. Now, what Georgia does is they just run the ball. Like they still run a pro.
Georgia is characterized as a pro style offense.
Pro style,
even though it looks like a spread.
Yeah, and so, but you have other teams like Now
let me stop you for a second. You use some terminology that some of our viewers may not be familiar with. You said 12 personnel. Explain what you mean by that.
2 tight ends.
Okay.
2 tight ends. Yeah. So
gotcha.
two tight ends is what you'll categorize as your 12 personnel.
Yeah. So 2 tight ends, 1 running back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. So sometimes Georgia will run 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So now explain the difference between that pro style, what Georgia runs, versus a true spread team. Because, I bring up his name every once in a while, but when Rush Probst was over in Colquitt County, he ran a spread offense, but it was a different variation of a spread. He ran something called a power spread, where a lot of people don't realize this, but Rush Probst loved to run the football.
Yeah.
So how would you characterize a spread offense?
So the spread offense is going to, for the most part, have a lot of RPO, run pass options in it. So that's what you're looking at there. They're constantly faking the dive and just kind of, and it's quick. It's fast. So those reads are, if the dive's there, let it go. Give it to the running back. If it's not there, boom, we're hitting a slant. Or depending on what your defense gives us, we're going to run that bubble screen. So if you want to take a look at a spread, true spread, probably think about what Oklahoma was when they had what's the kid, Sam Bradford back in the day. That was a spread like that. That's what I would consider like a true spread offense.
Okay, so now let's talk about the triple option. Okay, because Jeff Herron characterizes his offense as a triple option. Some people call it the wing T. Some people call it a flex bone, right? Yeah. Because back in the days of, remember, everybody remembers the wishbone offense, right? Very option-based offense, but some of the newer head coaches at the time saw some problems, especially in the passing game when it came to the pure wishbone. So remember, they had the fullback and then 2, I guess, running backs off to the side. Kind of, it looked like a wishbone. And so to make it more amenable to the pass, they simply brought the 2 running backs up behind the tackles or the tight ends, and now we call it the wing T. Right.
Yeah.
And it made it a little bit easier to integrate a passing game into a run-based offense. And at the time, it was very innovative. So now some of the modern day head coaches will have taken elements of the spread offense, married it to the wing T or the triple option, spread people out, but they use very, very similar wing T triple option blocking schemes, right?
Yeah.
And so you actually see a lot of offenses run this nowadays. Okay. So some people call it the spread triple option. Some people call it the spread flex bone. Some people call it just a flex bone, whatever you want to call it. Rich Rodriguez, I don't know if you guys remember that name. Rich Rodriguez was a head coach at West Virginia years ago, back when I'm going to give you a point of reference. Do you remember when West Virginia played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl years ago? That was the offense that we were talking about.
Yeah. And
he was very innovative at the time. Spread everybody out, basically ran the wing T from it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so now you have a lot of modern day coaches that are using this now. You're also starting to see some of these elements in the NFL as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to share on the screen a team that everybody is familiar with that runs the spread triple option. Would you have guessed that?
Yeah, I mean it's like the high school influences college and college influences the pros.
Triple option. Look at it.
Yeah,
there's that.
There it is. Yep.
So anyway, now why am I kind of painstakingly going through these different offenses and um, talking about RPOs and spread triple option and things like that? Well, let me start off by this segment asking you this question: what kind of offense did Lowndes run last year?
I have no idea.
Does anybody know?
No.
Sometimes it looked like the spread. Sometimes it looked like the power spread. Sometimes it looked like an RPO. I really
Like a year.
figure out what we were trying to do. So I'm hearing rumblings, Armand, that elements of the triple option may be making a return to Lowndes football. So when I say something like that, what's your initial reaction?
I welcome it. Just based off the talent that we have, right? We have a very athletic quarterback.
Yeah.
In Malcolm, to Marcus. We have a
Marcus,
very athletic quarterback in him. We got some good playmakers on the outside. And then we got Aleem Brown, and I can't remember the other guy's name who's coming back at running back. So I think that triple option, adding more of those elements, will maximize those kids. Those will maximize what we do, or what we can do, and make it more of a threat. And shoot, like I keep saying, maybe you see Jalen Carter in the backfield, getting some of that, getting that speed, attacking the edges, because that's the one thing that we didn't do. We couldn't attack the edges. We couldn't get to the edge. Everything was a struggle. I'm thinking if you add that element, it gives them the defense something to think about when it comes to Marvis. And it's not everybody knew when that QB draw was coming. Right?
Now, so when you say you welcome it, I'm going to throw something at you. Okay. So when you say you welcome it, do you want the Jeff Herron, Randy McPherson tight formation, triple option / wing T, or do you want a Rich Rodriguez type of triple option?
I would say a Rich Rodriguez.
Okay.
Because you can do more out of it.
I agree with you. The more I thought about it the last couple of weeks, and the more I see teams that run this time, I mean, here's the argument that people against the wing T make all the time, and I'm one of them. Especially when you run the traditional tight formation wing T, I hate that offense because I think it limits the ability of your playmakers. Okay. You're going to wear out defenses. You're going to score some points. You're going to milk the clock. Yeah, all those things are right. But if you get behind, you're in trouble. So why not marry the concept of the triple option with a more modern skill set that you have in your skill players and allow your quarterback to get more involved, especially if you have a very athletic quarterback like a Marvis Parrish. So that's why I like the idea of a spread, because let's face it right now. Right now, we do not have a very good passing game.
No.
I don't know when we are going to have a good passing game. So we have a decent passing game, but it's not excellent. It's not superior, right? So the personnel we have is the personnel that we have. So why not adopt an offensive scheme to match the personnel that you have? That's the question that I guess every coach in America has to grapple with. I mean, are they set in their ways, or do they adapt and adopt different schemes or kind of mold their offense to match their personnel?
But right now it's still early, right? It's still early in this new coaching regimes. So trying to find an identity on offense, exactly what you want to run, is what they're trying to do. They're looking at last year and say, we weren't too successful. We had big plays and everything, but not too successful. You go back and you look at what you got and you say, okay, this can work. So if they are bringing in those wing tee elements or the spread tee or whatever they want to call it, it's good. I mean, if you look at the service academies, I think you look at Army, they run the wing tee, but out of the shotgun now. Think the same thing with Air Force to a certain degree. And who else does it? Oh man, I can't remember. That's another team that runs. That's a D1 team that kind of runs that same offense, and they're highly successful on the run.
Sure.
But unlike the traditional wing tee set, you have those guys on the outside that are always a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I welcome it.
Yeah.
I just want to win.
One of my biggest fears is readopting one of the I'm going to call it the traditional wing tee, so everybody knows what we're talking about. Okay, so we can go back and forth in terminology, and everyone is still on the same page. So one of the things that I'm concerned about when there's any talk about adopting a traditional wing tee is one, not developing skill players, and two, losing the skill players that you have because they may be tempted to transfer out of the program.
No. This is what I say to that, right?
Yeah.
In today's college recruiting, right, they're looking at size first.
Yeah.
The measurables. What are your measurables? Height and weight. That's what they're looking at first. How do you test, right? If you're 6'2" and you run a 4.3, it don't matter what offense you're in. You're 6'2" and you running 4.3. You can't coach that. And if you're able to, with all the 707s and the, I won't say combines, but the camps that these kids are able to go to, that's what the college coaches are looking at. Now, they'll look at you on Friday nights and seeing what you're doing. Are you loafing? Are you going 100% all out? That's what these college coaches are looking at.
Now, I'm going to counter what you just said. Yeah. Yes, it is true that a lot of these offers are made at these camps nowadays, and you get to showcase your skills and things like that. But I'm going to counter that with two words: Bryce Ramsey. Do you remember that name?
Yeah. He out of Camden County.
Fantastic quarterback, Camden County. Basically spent 4 years squatting under center, running that wing tee, threw a great ball when he had to, but did not develop his skills. And when we got to the University of Georgia, turned into a punter.
Yeah. But who was he behind? He was behind Aaron Murray. Was Aaron Murray still there when he got there?
Could be. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But my point was, he had no shot at all.
Well, he did. He just throw it.
Come on.
He got beat out by, it was him and Fatone Bauta, right?
Yeah.
If memory serves me correct, right? Him and Fatone Bauta both like to throw it to the other team a little bit too much. And they end up bringing in Grayson Lambert from Virginia, right? Yeah. So that's what it was, right? Yeah. So I think it was Hudson Mason. He was there for Aaron Murray's last year. Then it was Hudson Mason. Then it was Lambert. I think that's how that succession went.
Sure. And listen, there's you can get offers, but you're not going to get very many. How do I know that? How do I know that? Because we have history at Lowndes. Yeah, as great as the Lowndes program has been over the last 2 decades, it was very common for signing day to come around and Lowndes may be having 4, 5, 6 tops players signed, and not to big schools, but to Division II, Division III, maybe 1 AA back then every once in a while. On occasion, you have a super athlete like a Josh Harvey Clemens or a Greg Reed or something like that. That didn't matter what offensive system you put them in, they were going to excel, right? Yeah. But for the most part, Lowndes didn't sign very many kids. And so I'm just saying that if you start to adopt that traditional wing tee system again, I'm afraid we're going to start losing a lot of the athletes that we would. Because if you're a 7th grade kid, 8th grade kid, you may not be the tallest wide receiver, but you're tall enough and you're quick enough to play a slot wide receiver, right? And instead of going to Lowndes and getting developed, you got a traditional system. You're not going to get developed. Now you got to ask yourself, do I really want to, pursue a college career as a slot receiver? And the question is, if I want to do that, am I going to get the development that I need at Lowndes, or do I go elsewhere? And I'm afraid the traditional system is going to make the decisions for these kids for them.
But I really don't. I think they're going to use those, bring in more of those concepts, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is based off of the veer anyway, for the most part, right? And when you're looking at these offense, you can say, "Oh, that's the veer," that's shades of the veer. But bringing in those concepts, I don't think it hurts, right? I think we're at a point in where the talent that we have, I think it's going to benefit more. I think Jalen Carter will still get his catches. I think Sifa will still get his catches. I think you'll
not in a traditional wing tee.
No. I highly doubt that we'll spend 98% of the time under center in the wing tee. I highly doubt that.
And that's so you and I are on the same page. That's what I'm arguing against. Now, I don't mind the triple option or whatever, running out of the spread, developing our talent, developing our quarterbacks, that kind of stuff. If you want to incorporate triple option blocking elements and schemes from those types of wide open formations, I'm all for it. But this type of traditional tight set that Jeff Herron runs, I hope it never comes back to Lowndes. Never.
No, it's like watching paint dry, to be honest with you. It's not that exciting. But I will say this, though. I will say this. And just people always question, what's the difference between the triple option and the wing tee? It's the quarterback. So the quarterback in the triple option is more of a threat to run. He's always a threat to run. In the wing tee, not so much. It's stop and dive. They're attacking the corners, in the triple option. And that in the quarterbacks, they kind of went away from it because the quarterbacks got beat up running the triple option.
Yeah.
And so that's why they went away from it.
Yeah. David Griffith says you have to have the players to execute any type of offense. That's exactly right. I don't care if you're running the single wing. You're going to have athletes to open up holes. And I still remember the Notre Dame box. When I was playing high school football, we actually played against Irwin County. I think Irwin County was still running the Notre Dame box back then.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't matter what offensive scheme that you run, you still have to execute. You still have to have players that are coachable enough to do that type of execution. Jeff Holt has an interesting question. I'm going to put this question on the screen so we can both see it. Is it really our kids' amount of talent or the coaches? Jeff, I would say it's both. One of the things that we harp on all the time on this show, Professor, is this. 2 of the 4 pillars, remember the 4 pillars? 2 of the 4 pillars is you got to have good coaching. It doesn't have to be great coaching, but you got to have at least good coaching, and you got to have good athletes that are coachable. So you got to have both of them. You can have the best coaching in the world. You could have Nick Saban, Kirby Smart on the same staff there at Lowndes. And if you have kids that refuse to be coached, then they're not going to win. And vice versa. You can have terrible coaches. And if you don't, and fantastic players, and if you don't have a good complementary mesh between those two groups, you're not going to win consistently. How do we know this? We see this every year in the metro Atlanta areas. Yeah. We see some great teams that are just loaded with D1 athletes, but subpar coaching. And they'll make it to a certain extent, but they never win a championship. I remember back in Lowndes' heyday. Do you remember teams like Stevenson High School?
Mm-hmm.
Stevenson always had a team full of athletes. I think that was during your time too. They had a whole squad of athletes, but not the excellent coaching that could take those athletes and take them to the next level. And they would always get defeated. in the
they
probably
come down
second,
here.
third round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I watched Lions destroy Stevenson like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like what they had out, and I remember like looking at all these players that were 3, 4, 3 and 4. They had at least 6 3 and 4 star players that were committed to D1 college, D1 programs, and Lions would just beat them by 30.
That's right. That's right. So, programming note for everybody that's tuning in. It is the Christmas season, so it's the end of the year, and we are out of the playoffs. So there's less content to be talking about. We're going to be talking about basketball season a little bit, but we're cutting back to our traditional hour-long format. During the football season, because so much content to talk about, we expanded it to an hour and a half. But during the off season, we'll start to cut it back to an hour-long type of format, just to give you guys a heads up. Wilbur Pelfrey's Wilbur's always got some insightful comments. He says, Tucker Pruitt runs his offense to the players. Then he has her. He ran the single wing last. Oh, and he's heard that he's run the single wing last week. Don't hear players flocking away there. Don't hear players flocking away there. Where else is there to go? Well, if you live in Fitzgerald, you live in Fitzgerald. But if you live in Lowndes, there are a lot of places that you can go. Yeah, that's my point. Mike Scott says the McPherson did not run the traditional wing tee his last 3 or 4 years. You are correct, Mike. He did transition out of that because Randy saw the writing on the wall, the modernization of offenses. And I think what convinced Randy more than anything to transition to it, because he still did run some wing tee blocking elements. Because at the time, I remember vividly him talking about adopting or transitioning from his traditional wing tee to a Gus Malzahn type of spread offense. And Gus Malzahn was very, very well known for implementing wing tee blocking concepts. And so I went to a touchdown club meeting one time and heard Randy talk about this. And he said he was watching Gus Malzahn's team on film and realized the blocking schemes were very, very similar to his blocking schemes. He just wanted to spread things out, get his athletes out in space. And so that's why because can you imagine a Michael Barrett or a Ja'Cory Brown in a squatter's position for 4 quarters? No, he saw the talent that he had coming up. That's a kind of a crude way to characterize, but that's what a wing tee quarterback does, right? So that's why Mike, that he transitioned his last 3 or 4 years because of the athletes that he saw coming, and defenses around the state were getting better and better at defending his wing tee schemes. Now, that brings us kind of 360 back to Camden County. So why is Camden County having so much success now? They find themselves in the semifinal round, and all these high-flying offenses. Carrollton's out. Colquitt County's out. Buford's out. So you got a heavy run-based wing tee, traditional 3 yards and a cloud of dust type of offense led by Jeff Herron, making a run deep in the playoffs. So what's your take on that?
Defense travels, run game travels. Right? If you can run it, if all you got to do is turn around and hand it off, and it's working, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, eventually it becomes to 5 yards, eventually becomes to a 10-yard game, it eventually becomes to a 20-yard pass for a touchdown. It works. It travels. It's not dependent on the quarterback whether he's going to have a good game or not. Like you look at the teams that lost, like Buford. Buford was heavily dependent on Dylan Raiola.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good game, and they lost. And so, but Camden, hey, we're going where? Okay, fine. We'll take our good defense and our good offense, and we're gonna run it down your throat and dare you try and stop it.
That's right.
And
that's right. That's right. So why was Randy and Heron so successful back in the 2000s? Because between those two teams, Lowndes and Camden, they dominated the 2000s. You know, Camden won it when? Oh, did Camden win in 03? They won it in 03, 8, and 9, right?
No, because we won in 05, 6,
We
and
won it
7.
in 4, 5, and 7.
4, 5, and 7. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think
Did they won it
Camden,
6, 8, and 9? Something like that?
I think so.
I can't remember. But between those two teams, they won it for 6 years, right? Out of a 10-year decade. So that's pretty dominant. Yeah, Mike Scott just put it up there. 03, 08, and 09. Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. So back then, the wing tee was kind of a novel thing in the highest classification. And Randy came into a region because right back then we didn't have Camden County in our region. So Randy came into a region where Valdosta was down, Colquitt County was down, Tift County's Tift County. Sometimes they were okay, sometimes they were not. So he brought an offense that just was, I guess, innovative to the region at the time, and then kind of married that to a cycle of great athletes. Do you remember that on offense and defensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
And so like you said, when you have some great athletes that can play complementary football, offense and defense, and Jeff Herron did the same thing at Camden County. So both of those squads had great athletes, and they played very complementary football on offense and defense, and that's why they went. So it's been so. But you know what? Defenses around the state do catch up, because when Jeff Herron retired, Welton Coffey took over, and he ran the wing tee for another several years. And the first year, I remember the first year that Welton Coffey took over, his team still won. But the following year, it started to decline, and then started to decline even more. And then Bob's Fire was finally eventually hired to open it up into a spread. So you make this full circle scenario where Jeff Herron comes back, reintroduces the wing tee to the 7A class. Took a couple years to get this thing going. Now he's got it rolling. I don't think he's going to win a state championship this year, but defenses will begin to catch up with this thing, and they'll figure it out like they did in the past, and then they'll shut it back down. The wing tee, when you get behind, it is almost impossible to come back.
Yeah. But see, the wing tee or any option-based scheme is not hard to stop. You just got to have players who are going to be disciplined to not
That's
play.
the key right there. Yep.
You got to be disciplined. Like, you can't, hey, if I got to dive, I got to dive. If my read is quarterback to run, it's quarterback to run. You know, or if it's the running back to quarterback, you just got to have the players who are disciplined to do their job, and it's not hard to stop.
That's right.
It really is hard to stop.
You do have to play very disciplined assignment football to defend the wing tee. You really do. You cannot be, and you have to be very, very selfless. You got one assignment when you're playing defense. If you're a defensive end, you got one assignment. You can't be chasing the dive, right? You got one assignment. So anyway, they love to see that defensive end crash down trying to take out the fullback. And there he goes. He pulls that ball and he's gone.
Yep, lost contained. You lost contained. You compromised. Everything else is compromised after that. So
absolutely. So I wouldn't mind seeing some wing tee triple option elements back into the Lowndes offense, as long as we do it in a more modern set, so we can start to really continue to develop our athletes. So anyway. So that's what we got. Wilbur says it's still about the Jimmies and Joes and the coaches putting him in the best positions to win. Wilbur, yeah, we agree with you. We've been talking about that the entire show. So anyway, so that was a pretty fun conversation. Let's go ahead and end the show with this conversation. We got a few minutes left in the show. Now Lowndes is entering the off season, as many of these teams will after tomorrow night. Okay, because only a handful of teams in this area left. So I've heard coaches say this, because some of you know that I do have a nationwide podcast that I do with my counterpart, Joe Mamone with Prep Gridiron Logistics. And so we interview some of the most prominent head coaches, Armand, across the country. And when we're off screen, we have some very, very candid conversations. And I'll ask them very point blank directed questions that I don't ask on screen, just because, they're more likely to answer those off screen. And so one of the questions that I will ask is about their off-season workout program. And so I've had a number of coaches tell me, I don't know if they have learned this from their mentors, whatever, but I've had a number of tell me this. Like, I think this is almost a quote. They always say championships are won in January through March. Now, obviously, football season doesn't start until August, September, October, November, right? But these coaches, these prominent national championship coaches, they always say that championships are won January through March. What do you think they mean by that?
That's when you get bigger, faster, and stronger. That's your time to get bigger, faster, and stronger. I can remember for us, January is when we started our quote unquote voluntary workouts.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So that's when it started. That's when you know who's there. You know who that's where you identify your leaders. And you also identify who's not.
That's right.
Who's your hard workers, who's not your hard workers. And so you're right. It does start in January. For me, it was I played basketball and then track. So my off season was leave the football field to the basketball court. After basketball, run track. And it wasn't until my junior year I was kind of banged up after the football season, and I didn't play basketball, and I finally got a chance to heal. And I felt so much better. Going through those workouts. So that's where that's where you earn your money, January through March.
Yeah. So if I'm an athlete, if I'm a 16-year-old athlete all over again, I would focus on two things during the off season: eat as much as I can and work out as much as I can.
Yes.
You do those two things, you are going to grow, right? You are going to grow.
Like for me, I had a problem keeping weight on. Like I would bulk up. I would get to about 190 before summer camp. By the time it's basketball season, I'm 182. I'm 170. And so it was that's the hardest thing, is trying to put the weight on right. That's what you got to do. Put the weight on right.
That's right.
But today they got so many nutritionists. They got everything. So it should be a lot easier for them, other than for me, I had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's funny right there. That's a staple from the caveman days to today. I think they had peanut butter and jelly back in the caveman days.
Probably. But I didn't have the creatine and all that other stuff that they got today. So, hey, I envy these kids sometimes. I can't even lie.
That's right. So, guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. As a teaser for next week, Armand, I'm going to ask you to think about this as well. What are as fans, right? Speaking strictly as fans, what are the 4 areas, and you got to pick 4. You got to come to the table next week with 4. What are the 4 areas of improvement that you're looking for out of the Lowndes football program when they step foot on the field next year? You got a whole week to think about
it. I got 2 right off the top of my head.
You got 2 right off the top. You got to come on with 4. You got to come on with 4.
I'll hold it. I will hold it until next.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun discussion next week, guys. So you can see the topics, guys, that we come up with to talk about during the off season. So, first show out of the gate in the off season tonight, we're talking about the different styles of offensive football, what may be coming to Lowndes, what maybe not, what's the pros and cons. Next week, we're going to dive into, as fans, what are the 4 areas of improvement that you would love to see out of your football program. It may not necessarily be what coaches planned, because we're just fans. But as fans, we're talking here. What are the 4 areas that you would love to see when our program steps foot on the field next week? Tierra Battle says, I got my 4. Man, she's got 4 right away. Holy moly.
Okay.
Way to go, Tierra. Hey, Tierra. Well, listen, we might bring you on screen next week, or at least, at the very least, call into the show to give us your 4. So, guys,
I like that.
with that said, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to wish you a very Merry Christmas. Take some time to be around the ones that you love and to remember why we celebrate this season. Buy the gifts that you're going to buy, but take the time to remember why we celebrate this season. So with that said, God bless you guys, and go Vikings.
Go Vikings.